There is a celebration right now in the WNBA dump. And of course, the party is being hosted by their pretend friends in the mainstream media. Angel Reese, who the media wants you to believe is the face of the WNBA, when at minimum, she is the co-star in this box office drama. Hell, some people might even consider her to be a part of the supporting cast. While veteran WNBA players have been throwing shade at Caitlin Clark's impact, a 19-year-old USC sensation just dropped a truth bomb that's shaking up the entire league. I have been saying this for a while now. This is one of the main problems with the WNBA. They want to pick and choose which players are celebrated. They want to tell you who you should support. Remember when players like Angel Reese and Diana Taurasi were downplaying Clark's influence? Well, JuJu Watkins just showed everyone how it's done. But here's what's really interesting. Her response to Caitlin Clark isn't just making waves. It's revealing a major shift in how the next generation of players sees the future of women's basketball. For anyone who's been following the WNBA recently, you know we're in the middle of something big. But what JuJu Watkins just did isn't just making waves. It's completely changing how we think about the future of women's basketball. We need to talk about this because it's not about just one interview. It's about a whole new way of thinking about the sport. Let's start with what's been happening in women's basketball over the past year. Caitlin Clark has been breaking records left and right, literally changing how people watch the game. We're talking about sold-out arenas, record-breaking viewership numbers, and the kind of attention that the WNBA has been fighting to get for decades. But here's where things got interesting. And honestly, a bit messy. If you're finding this breakdown valuable, hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth basketball analysis. While Clark was bringing all this attention to the sport, we saw some pretty interesting reactions from WNBA veterans. Remember Diana Taurasi's comments? She went on air talking about how Clark would need time to adjust, how she might not be ready for the WNBA. Now, Taurasi's a legend in the game, no question. But her comments, like those from several other veterans, seem to be missing the bigger picture. Then we had Angel Reese, who spent more time engaging in social media battles than celebrating the growth of the sport. Look, I get it, when you've been fighting for recognition for years, it can be tough to watch someone else get immediate acclaim. But here's where our story takes an unexpected turn. Unlike the other 99% of the WNBA, Angel Reese damn sure ain't an extra. When you see her pretty face, at least you can recognize it. After spending the last 12 or so months complaining about being sexualized, after spending the last 12 months complaining about the dirty messages that she receives from lonely men on social media, Angel Reese, she was given the cover of the winter edition of Vogue magazine. This is amazing. This is quite the accomplishment. Enter JuJu Watkins. She's just 19, playing at USC and already breaking records herself. But it's not her on-court performance that's got everyone talking right now. It's her perspective on the sport's growth that's turning heads. In her Fox News interview, Watkins didn't just give the usual PR responses. She dropped some serious wisdom that veterans twice her age seem to be missing. When asked about all the new attention women's basketball is getting, she said something profound. The fact that people are watching is enough in itself. Now let's break down why this is such a big deal. For decades, the WNBA has been fighting an uphill battle. They've dealt with skeptics, limited media coverage, and sometimes outright dismissal of their abilities. Some might even call it hypocritical. You guys tell me, what would be the bigger accomplishment? Landing the cover of Vogue or being named Athlete of the Year by Time magazine? Many players have developed a defensive mindset as a result. And honestly, who can blame them? When you're constantly fighting for respect, it's natural to become protective of what you've built. But Watkins represents something different. She's part of a generation that grew up watching women's sports get more accessible through social media. She's seen how engagement, both positive and negative, can drive growth. When she talks about accepting that not all attention will be positive, she's showing a level of business understanding that's frankly shocking for someone her age. Think about this. While some veterans were complaining about new fans not understanding the game's history or questioning their authenticity, Watkins is essentially saying, welcome to the party no matter how you got here. That's not just being nice. That's understanding how modern sports grow. The contrast becomes even more striking when you look at how different players handled the media attention this past year, though we saw some veterans almost resenting the new fans who came to the sport through Caitlin Clark. But Watkins? She's saying bring them all in, even the critics. This isn't just about being inclusive. It's about understanding modern sports economics. In today's digital age, engagement is everything. TV deals, sponsorship contracts, merchandise sales. They all depend on people paying attention to your sport. When Watkins says she's okay with people watching, even if they're against her, she's showing a sophisticated understanding of how sports leagues grow in the 21st century. Let's take a moment to appreciate how remarkable this is. At 19, Watkins is showing more business savvy than some league executives. She understands that in the age of social media and viral moments, all engagement can be valuable. Even negative attention can drive interest, create conversation, and ultimately help grow the sport. This analysis is getting deep. Make sure to hit subscribe and ring that bell if you want more insights like this. Not Female Athlete of the Year. I'm talking about Athlete of the Year, which means if you won the award, you were competing with legends like Patrick Mahomes, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Donnie Carr, and who could forget the legend of legends, the icon of icons, Willard Green. What's particularly fascinating is how Watkins handles the issue of critics. Instead of the common, clapping back at haters approach we've seen from some players, she takes a more nuanced view. She acknowledges that not everyone will be positive, but sees even negative attention as part of the growth process. That's not just mature, it's brilliant from a business perspective. Think about some of the biggest names in sports history. Muhammad Ali didn't just want people to love him, he was fine with people paying to see him lose. Michael Jordan didn't just have fans, he had people who loved to hate him. Both understood that polarizing figures often drive the most interest in a sport. This mentality could be exactly what women's basketball needs right now. The sport is at a crucial junction, with players like Caitlin Clark bringing unprecedented attention and athletes like Watkins showing this level of maturity. There's a real opportunity for transformative growth. But here's what makes this even more interesting. Watkins isn't just talking about accepting new fans, she's actively embracing the kind of attention that some veterans have pushed back against. She understands that in today's sports world, engagement, even controversial engagement, drives growth. The implications of this mindset shift could be huge. Imagine a WNBA where players embrace all forms of attention, where debate and even criticism are seen as signs of relevance rather than disrespect. Imagine new fans feeling welcomed regardless of how they came to the sport. If you liked the gas video, then give it a like and tell us where you were watching it from. Tell us in the comments and subscribe to the channel. Whether through Caitlin Clark, JuJu Watkins, or anyone else, this could be the blueprint for how women's basketball handles its next phase of growth. Instead of getting defensive about new attention or questioning the authenticity of new fans, embrace it all. Use the engagement, positive and negative, to build something bigger. Let's dig deeper into why JuJu Watkins' approach could revolutionize women's basketball. We've talked about her maturity in handling attention, but there's so much more to unpack here. This isn't just about one player's comments, it's about a complete shift in how the next generation views the sport's growth. Think about the WNBA's history for a moment. For years, the league has struggled with a challenging dynamic. On one side, you have players fighting for respect, better pay, and recognition. On the other, you have the reality of building a sustainable professional sports league. These two goals haven't always aligned perfectly. When Caitlin Clark came along and started drawing unprecedented attention, we saw this tension play out in real time. Veterans like Diana Taurasi, who had spent years building the league, seemed almost defensive about the new attention. And honestly, you can understand why. When you've been fighting for recognition for decades, watching someone new get immediate acclaim can be tough. Quick pause. If you're getting value from this analysis, smash that like button and join our community by subscribing. But here's where Watkins' perspective becomes so crucial. Instead of viewing new attention as a threat to what's been built, she sees it as an opportunity for expansion. When she talks about accepting both positive and negative attention, she's essentially providing a masterclass in modern sports marketing. Let's break down what she's really saying. First, she acknowledges that not all new fans will be experts. So many new fans in the sport can sometimes be a headache. Not everyone knows what they're talking about. But instead of using this as a criticism, she immediately pivots to why it's valuable. But it's great for the sport. This understanding of how modern sports grow is something the WNBA desperately needs right now. The league is at a crossroads. With Clark's impending arrival and players like Watkins on the horizon, there's an opportunity for unprecedented growth. But that growth won't come if new fans feel unwelcome or if their enthusiasm is constantly questioned. Consider how different this approach is from what we've seen in the past year. While some players were busy questioning Clark's draft position or suggesting she might not be ready for the WNBA, Watkins is essentially saying, bring on all the attention. We'll figure out how to harness it. This isn't just about being nice or inclusive. It's about understanding modern sports economics. In today's digital age, engagement drives everything. TV deals, sponsorships, merchandise sales, they all depend on people paying attention to your sport. When Watkins says she's fine with people watching, even if they're against her, she's showing a sophisticated understanding of how modern sports leagues grow. Think about some of the most successful athletes in history. Many of them understood that polarizing attention can be just as valuable as positive attention. Muhammad Ali didn't just want people to love him. He was fine with people paying to see him lose. Women's basketball is experiencing unprecedented growth. College games are selling out. Arenas. TV ratings are breaking records. But with this growth comes growing pains. There will be new fans who don't understand all the history. There will be critics who try to diminish achievements. There will be controversy and debate. What Watkins seems to understand and what some veterans might have forgotten is that all of this is part of becoming a major sport. You can't have the growth without the growing pains. You can't have the massive audience without some of that audience being critical or uninformed. This mentality could be transformative for the WNBA. Imagine a league where players embrace all attention, where debate and even criticism are seen as signs of relevance, rather than disrespect. Imagine new fans feeling welcomed regardless of how they came to the sport, whether through Caitlin Clark, JuJu Watkins, or anyone else. What's particularly impressive about Watkins' approach is how she balances appreciation with ambition. She's not suggesting that players should accept disrespect or unfair treatment. Instead, she's saying that the path to greater respect and better treatment comes through growing the game, even if that growth isn't always comfortable. This could be the blueprint for how women's basketball handles its next phase of growth. Instead of getting defensive about new attention or questioning the authenticity of new fans, embrace it all. Use the engagement, positive and negative, to build something bigger. As we look toward the future, with Clark entering the WNBA and players like Watkins potentially following this mindset could be exactly what the sport needs. It's not just about handling success, it's about understanding how to turn that success into sustained growth. The real test will come when Watkins herself enters the WNBA. Will she maintain this mature perspective when she's dealing with professional pressures? Will her approach influence other players? Could this signal a broader shift in how the next generation of players views the growth of their sport? What's clear is that women's basketball is entering a new era. The old ways of thinking about growth and attention may no longer serve the sport's best interests. In JuJu Watkins, we might be seeing the future, not just in terms of on-court talent, but in terms of understanding how to build a truly major sports league. There you have it, folks. JuJu Watkins just showed us what the future of women's basketball could look like. If this is the mindset of the next generation, we might be witnessing the beginning of a major shift in the sport. What do you think about her approach compared to the veterans? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay updated on all the latest in basketball news and analysis, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching and subscribe my channel.